Wheels within wheels. Dry bones rising. A prophet no one believed. This visually striking Bible story brings the prophet Ezekiel to life, a man called to deliver God's message through strange visions and bold actions during Israel's exile. As people question his sanity, Ezekiel must obey God no matter how foolish it looks. He was a priest without a temple, a man of God living in a foreign land, by the banks of the river Chebar in Babylon, far from the holy city of Jerusalem. Ezekiel's life was irrevocably altered. He was among the thousands of Judeans forcibly taken from their homes. An exile meant to crush their spirit and erase their identity. But it was here, in the heart of despair, that the heavens opened. Ezekiel saw a whirlwind from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing, and in its center, the likeness of 4 living creatures. Each had 4 faces of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle, and their wings stretched out, touching one another. Beside them were wheels, intersecting, covered with eyes, moving in perfect unison with the creatures. Above them all, on a throne of sapphire, sat a figure radiating the brilliance of fire, the very glory of the Lord. This was no ordinary vision. It was a divine commission. God called Ezekiel to be a watchman for the house of Israel, a prophet to a rebellious and hard-hearted people. His task was not to win popularity contest or to soothe anxious souls with empty promises. He was to speak God's truth, whether they listened or not. His mission began with a symbolic act. God commanded him to eat a scroll, one inscribed with words of lamentation, mourning, and woe. To Ezekiel, it tasted as sweet as honey, for it was the very word of God, the sustenance for the difficult road ahead. His obedience was immediate, even when the commands grew stranger and the audience more hostile. The people of the exile were spiritually numb, clinging to the false hope that their punishment would be brief and their return to Jerusalem imminent. They saw Ezekiel as an eccentric, a madman whose public displays were sources of gossip and ridicule. God instructed him to build a model of Jerusalem and lay siege to it, lying on his left side for 390 days and his right for 41 days for each year of Israel's and Judah's sin. He was commanded to shave his head and beard, dividing the hair to symbolize the fate of the city's inhabitants, a third burned, a third struck by the sword, and a third scattered to the wind. These were not the gentle parables of a sage but the shocking, desperate acts of a God trying to break through the walls of apathy. Ezekiel's reputation was sacrificed on the altar of obedience. Each action a gut-wrenching sermon performed in the public square. Perhaps his most famous and powerful vision came when God's Spirit transported him to a valley, filled with dry, sun-bleached bones. "Son of man," God asked, "can these bones live?" The scene was one of absolute finality, the symbol of a nation utterly dead, its hope extinguished. Yet, at God's command, Ezekiel prophesied to the bones. A rattling sound echoed through the valley as bone joined to bone, sinews and flesh appeared, and skin covered them. They were bodies, but they were lifeless. Again, Ezekiel prophesied, this time to the breath, and the Spirit of God entered them. They came to life and stood on their feet, a vast army. This was God's promise of renewal, a powerful metaphor for spiritual resurrection. He would take the dead heart of his people and give them a new heart of flesh, putting his Spirit within them to bring about a restoration more profound than just a return to their land. It was a promise of a new creation, born from obedience that once looked like madness. Through it all, Ezekiel remained the faithful watchman. He delivered messages of judgment against the nations that rejoiced in Israel's fall, and he painted a stunningly detailed picture of a new temple, a new city, and a river of life flowing from God's presence. His story is one of unwavering obedience in the face of mockery and misunderstanding. It teaches us that God's glory can be revealed in the most unexpected places, not just in the grand temple, but by a muddy river in a land of exile. It is a testament to the power of spiritual awakening and the beautiful, often strange, path of faith. A story of spiritual awakening and restoration inspired by Ezekiel's visions. Explore more stories of faith and obedience that challenge our understanding. Watch our next video and subscribe to see how God works through the unexpected.